All right, so it's time to understand the one and only Gremlin API. We have covered 4 out of the 5 APIs that we mentioned the part 1 of this Cosmos DB APIs, and this is the last one and the most interesting one. And I can bet you will find one of the question in the certification for sure. And I'll tell you what kind and how could you figure it out. So let's discuss about the Gremlin API first. Well, if we have a graph database, then we use Gremlin API provided by the Cosmos DB. Straightforward and simple. Since we're talking about this, let's discuss a little more about the graph data model, because you might find the model in your exam and you need to figure out what it is and which API will work. So you need to figure it out. It's graph and you need to choose Gremlin. You know what I mean? So if you look at the traditional data modeling, you will see that most of the time these are focused on entities, but not the relationship between the entities. But if you observe the real world data, it naturally connect with each other. And whenever it's a relationship between the entities, it's always the Gremlin API, just to help you. And for many applications, for example, social media applications, there is a need in the model for both the entities as well as the relationship between the entities. For example, if you talk about the Facebook, we have the relationship. These are the friends, these are this is that, you know, those kind. And this is where the graph database comes to rescue. So graph database is a NoSQL DB, and there is no dependency on the schema. There is no constraint on the data model, and this can help us in highly efficient graph retrieval operations. I'm sorry, my phone just rang. All right, so let me quickly share my screen, I think, and let me take you through this graph so that it would be easy for me to explain this to you. So how to share? Let me share. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we are. Now you must see this graph on the MS documentation where there are the objects like Robin, Thomas, laptop, mobile, Android, pen, football, right? So if you see these different objects are connected through some means, for example, Robin knows Thomas. So you see, it is developing some kind of relationship. And here in this particular scenario where I said Robin knows Thomas, so the relationship is knows. Okay, they know each other, or Robin uses laptop, or Robin uses mobile phone. So use is kind of relationship between the object, and similarly you can see Thomas knows Robin, or Thomas interested in football, and so on. So all these objects like Robin, Thomas, football objects, these are called vertices in graph model, and these lines which is making the relationship like knows, interested, and uses are known as edges. Okay, so knows is edge or a relationship between these two objects. And the third thing we have is the property. Property define the extra information about the object. For example, let's say this Thomas is 26-year-old. So 26 is the property of the object called Thomas. Similarly, we can also define properties at the edge of the relationship. So for example, we can say Robin knows Thomas for 3 years. So knows for 3 years is the value. 3 is the value of the property in the knows relationship. Let's put it this way. So similarly, you can see around that how real world objects are naturally connected with each other. So we can use this Gremlin API in social media relationships, or the recommendation engines in e-commerce websites. This can be modeled in graph data model. We can use this in geospatial like maps, the way it is shown here, and we can also use the API, this API in IoT as well, as per the need where these kind of object relationships are going to defined. So Gremlin is your main, right? Now, just like the other databases or APIs we talked, okay, if you have existing API, you should migrate or at least consider to migrate your data to Cosmos DB using Gremlin API. At the last point I want to convey is Gremlin API provides graph drivers, a language that understands the connection defined by our edges, so that you can efficiently query across the many relationships that exist in the data. Okay. So now if you are very much confused between all these APIs, and you're thinking that which API I should use, and what is the scenario, what kind of question, I mean, so don't worry, I'll explain it to you. It's very simple and absolutely easy to get the mark on these kind of questions. So let me tell you how. So if you have your existing applications in MongoDB, Cassandra, Table, or Gremlin, you can simply migrate all of them to Cosmos DB with the corresponding API as we covered, right? So just to refresh your memory, so for MongoDB, not Mango, yeah, it's somewhere here, and Mango is, interesting. So for MongoDB, you migrate to MongoDB API. For Cassandra, you migrate to Cassandra API. For Table, of course, we have Cosmos Table API. For Gremlin, for Graph or Gremlin, we have Gremlin API. Simple and straightforward. No need to think much as we studied this, that, match, done. Now, if your data has a relationship, if your data is designed in a graph model, this is the question I was talking about at the beginning. You're planning to design your data in a graph model, then you should consider Gremlin API, and I'm pretty sure you will get one question on the graph in Gremlin, and this is your key. Graph, go with the Gremlin. Relationship, edge, go with the Gremlin. Existing, go with the Gremlin. Okay, so if you're developing a new application or whatever is the other scenario, you should always choose the SQL API, because this is the default one and has other benefits, as I mentioned the very first or maybe second videos. Now, from certification point of view, they are not expecting you to develop or write, what I mean by, like, they're not expecting you to develop the application or one of these APIs, or they're not expecting you to write code for these APIs, but they want you to understand the difference between them and which API you will use, and you also understand these APIs, the different languages, different scenarios that you got to use it. That's why we covered the best part of the API, the part which will help you to understand the difference between these APIs and how to use these API in what scenarios, rather than, developing and writing code. And that's not my forte. Okay, so all you also you should know that core SQL is the only API which support the SQL-like language. And anywhere in the question, if you see the SQL-like code, they ask you about it, and you see the SQL is one of the option, most likely that will be your right answer. So with this video, we are completing the APIs understanding of APIs, when to use which one, how many. And in next video, let's understand the other concepts of Cosmos DB, and then we'll start doing the lab. So till then, stay healthy, keep working out.